Hello, welcome back to our podcast about baseball this time. I'm here with Sam. Hello.
Hi.
And there's quite a lot's happened since last podcast, although some of it is actually a while ago now, but we're going to talk about it anyway because it's big news. Like the bet trade and all the, well, some of the stuff actually we touched on the last podcast, but there's a lot, yeah, more developments, I suppose, since then. Um,
Yeah, more excrement has hit the fan since then.
yeah, partly from the,
The Betts,
yeah, partly from the commissioner just not really dealing with anything well at all.
also the Betts trade that meandered quite a lot since. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a month since the last podcast, and basically that was on off changed, um, and there was all sorts of things happened with that, including the Red Sox appearing to change their mind because Twitter didn't like it or something along those lines.
yeah. So should we go into the Betts trade first, actually, because that's sort of longer ago. I mean, there's not, yeah, it's sort of finished now, but yeah, it was well when it was first like announced. Is that like 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah,
Because we don't think we mentioned it. Like it wasn't news or that close to being done in our last podcast. Like we don't think we even talked about it, and that was about a month ago. So I'm guessing it's probably like 3 weeks when it was first announced that it was done. And usually with baseball trades, when it's announced as there's an agreement, that's usually it. Like I've not actually known it before. I mean, maybe it has happened before, but I don't know. I don't remember a time when this is announced as agreed and then it like, especially something that's been built up to for so long. You know, everyone knew that he was probably going to get traded to the Dodgers for a while. I've never known it to like not happen at that point.
yeah, there seemed to be a possibility it wasn't going to briefly. I mean, it really was
Yeah,
quite brief.
yeah,
Just, just faffing around, wasn't it? It's usually the fact that news breaks to the usual Twitter accounts before it's confirmed isn't an issue, but this was one of the times where it was an issue. It had a bit of a Premier League football vibe to it, that the
yeah,
rumours had actually got ahead of where the process itself perhaps was.
yeah. Which is basically what it is constantly in football, isn't it? In
Yeah, it's
Premier League
always that you
football
think the deal's
transfers, it's
done.
like you, yeah, and well, half of like the news around football, like articles and stuff, is just random like gossip
Yeah,
of like, oh, this person's signed, got an agreement with this team. It's just absolute bollocks, basically.
yeah.
But yeah, so he was going to be it was going to be a free team trade with the Twins, wasn't it? And the Red Sox were going to get Gratterol and Jeter Downs,
Yes,
which is
something
sort
like
of
that.
funny because it was another thing, isn't he? Isn't he actually named after Derek Jeter or something?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Which is sort of funny that he's probably going to be like the well, either
Wait,
the,
no, no. Jeter Downs wasn't in the initial one, was he? Sorry, we should have
oh
got.
no, he wasn't. No, sorry, I'm wrong.
He is there now. He is there now.
Yes, he
The
was the thing
initial
that was
one was
added.
Verdugo and
Yeah,
Gratterol,
Verdugo.
and maybe something else to the Red Sox. The Red Sox, Mookie Betts and David Price to the Dodgers, and Maeda to the Twins.
Yeah,
And it ended up with Gratterol is on the Dodgers, Jeter Downs and Verdugo, and I think someone else, but someone relatively insignificant, have gone
it was a
to
catching
Boston.
prospect.
Yeah, and they've got two of the
Yeah,
best in baseball, or maybe the two
yeah,
best in baseball.
yeah. So
The Dodgers, that is.
not Joe Bart, I
Yeah,
guess.
but
Well,
they
apart from Joe Bart and Adley Rutschman, they might be like the third and fourth best catching prospects,
yeah, and in
I
fact that
suppose.
they're actually both going to be in the majors this year, aren't they? Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, basically the Red Sox decided they wanted more prospects because it did seem slightly light given they were paying for David Price's contract as well. Um, but it was also a lot of basically. I think there's a lot of Red Sox fans getting angry about getting Gratterall who's had injury problems. But like, a lot of people have injury problems, and I don't know whether they paid attention to what how good he actually is. It's just like, oh, he's had injuries, and then people just sort of mindlessly being angry. I mean, like, they may have missed out. I mean, it's good they've got Jeter Downs, I guess. Like, that's probably good. They've probably ended up with slightly more, but really, like, Gratterall is a very, very good prospect to get. It's like 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 90-mile-an-hour slider guy. Like, if you watch any clips of him,
But he
it's just
projects
like,
as a bullpen guy, doesn't he? That's the thing.
uh,
I think that
yeah,
I think that
I
was
think maybe he is at the moment.
that was part of the angle with it was he's one of these top 100 guys that like he could be an absolute lockdown relief guy, but that's probably
Yeah,
his ceiling. It doesn't see. That's what I've read on it anyway. Um,
yeah,
I really don't like this trade for Boston, and it's not just in the you should never trade away Mookie Betts thing because teams trade away good players, and I don't actually hate that. Like the Chicago White Sox traded away Chris Sale. I know it's a very different situation. He had loads more control, but Mookie
yeah,
Betts, I still think is probably the best non-Mike Trout player in baseball.
yeah,
If you were drafting like playground style, um, and the David Price thing, where he's got in this to cross over with basketball a bit of a Chris Paul situation. And there are
yeah,
obviously other people in baseball who are like this, where bad contract doesn't equal bad player, and
yeah.
people. It seems like even Boston have got lost in that nonsense.
I think the fact that they paid some of the contract, like they're paying half of it, so that the Dodgers are effectively paying 16 million a year for a couple of years, aren't they? And he is still like, he's good value at that price, which means like I don't think he's negative value in the trade when they're only paying 60 million the contract, which then makes you think like,
They've given up nothing.
yeah, like
I mean,
for Mookie Betts, if it was just Mookie Betts, they should have probably got a bit more than they have potentially. Because I guess Verdugo is all right, but he was not like a super prospect, was he? And he's been in the majors for a bit. He's basically going to be replacing Mookie Betts and is
I can't remember
not on
how
his
high
level.
prospect he was. I thought he was quite high, but the thing is he's one of these guys who now he had over 100 games last year and was like an above average hitter, but only by a bit. He's like
Yeah,
he looks like he's solid. That's what Benintendi. Although I really like Benintendi's upside still, there's a chance that those two end up being like that level just below All Star. There's a lot of
yeah,
value in having those players, but those two, and then they've got Jackie Blue Jr. who's heading for free agency, isn't he? Or he didn't sign an extension, did
well,
he? I don't
they
think.
signed Kevin PR. That's
Yeah,
what
but
they've
that's what I
done now.
mean. It's like is this
Yeah,
Verdugo? I'd rather have a lower down prospect because Verdugo to me, I might be wrong. Maybe he really breaks out. I'm talking about one season here, but it's not like they've taken a young player with control that's just been like rookie of the year level good. He looks like he may well project to be a solid outfielder. That's great and everything, but what's the point? Like, you just gave up Mookie Betts for that. The
yeah,
David Price thing, this is what I also have an issue with. Okay, so his first year as a Red Sox, he had a 3.99 ERA, which is disappointing considering his contract. His FIP was 3.6, but he pitched 230 innings. His
yeah,
second year, he was injured, so he only pitched 74 innings. His FIP was 3.64. 2018, barely injured at all, 176 innings, 30 starts, 4.02 FIP, 3.58 ERA. Last year, he was injured a fair bit, so only got just over
yeah.
100 innings, but his FIP was 3.6 again, and he struck out nearly 11 per 9.
But yeah, basically
That's,
he's a guy
that's a
that
good pitcher.
you expect him. Yeah, he's like solid, isn't he? He's not. He's a bit of a way off from like his Cy Young days, but he's just like you expect him to be around like 3.5 ERA and pitch a lot of innings if he's healthy. Or maybe he's not going to pitch as many these days. He's a bit older, but
Well, and the Dodgers will be careful with him. It's
yeah,
another one of these things where it's on a team I'm not saying the Red Sox are terribly run because I don't think they are, but on a team like the Dodgers, who just seem to be very good at getting like every every ounce out of every
Yeah,
player.
particularly with pitches, I think as well.
Yeah, he's going to pitch 140 innings, isn't he? And pitch really, really well for 140.
Yeah,
They
it's gonna. Yeah,
they're,
well,
they're
like you
going to
see
look
what they did
after
with
him
Rich Hill,
basically.
basically.
Yeah, and
What they
he's
were
got
doing
a
with Rich
higher raw
Hill.
talent level than that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't. It's the fact of them trading Mookie Betts. I think basically they sort of needed to. I mean, it makes sense to trade him, which is a lot of the criticism is that you just can't trade Mookie Betts. But like, basically I don't know. I feel like they sort of haven't got that much for him. But I guess if there was no better offers, then it was probably
I
sensible
don't
to
think
do it.
they.
But I don't know why they needed to package David Price with it.
Well,
Like,
wasn't that the money? I think that's the money to get under the luxury tax.
yeah,
I've
yeah, I
got a
guess so. But I mean,
feeling Betts didn't
I would
quite
have
do
thought
it.
David Price would have value otherwise, anyway.
People just are terrified of big contracts, though.
Yeah, but
And if
especially
you're,
like if you're paying half his contract and give him to someone, I mean, maybe you don't get much back, but like I don't know. I feel
yeah, I
like you
don't know.
by doing it separately, they may have got more than they did. But yeah, that's the thing is that the fact that they packaged David Price was to guarantee that they're definitely under the luxury tax, wasn't it? So it was basically a cheap move. But if it wasn't about money, it would still make sense to trade Mookie Betts when he's a free agent, and he's basically said that he's going to test free agency.
Well, they did talk about a contract though. The reason he said he's going to test free agency is they wouldn't
Oh,
meet his
they didn't.
demands.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think there was
Okay.
apparently a huge gap between them. It's not that he's just said I'm
Oh,
not
right.
talking.
Okay, so I guess they were
Um,
being cheap there as well. I guess that's also well, yeah, that's basically they should have extended him.
yeah, but
You know,
so what I'd
if
go
you've got a
back
player
to
like
with
that, you
them
just
though
pay whatever.
is there's always an issue. So yeah, there is this thing with if they're going to pay bets, they need to get onto the tax at some point. I completely understand wanting to reset it because they quite legitimately might think they're the third best team even with bets in their division. So wanting to reset it to me
Yeah,
is fine because the luxury tax penalties, if you get into the repeater stuff, does become a bit of an issue, doesn't it? Um, my problem with it was it's not Mookie Betts that is the problem there. It's that they've made other like the Nathan Eovaldi contract. I know
yeah,
teams do this. I know they want to pay the guy, and he gave them good innings out of the bullpen when they won the World Series and stuff. But that was stupid the minute they did it.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
then
It's like,
injured, wasn't he? He pitched
how
like
long was it for?
the rest of time. He pitched 67 innings last year for a 5.99 ERA, and he's got
Yeah,
3 more years at 17 million a shot.
yes. See, there's those contracts that are the problem, like you say.
So
And but
the most
these are
annoying
the.
thing is, sorry,
Sorry, I was going to say these are those are the sort of contracts that basically people don't go out very often anymore, and people moan about that. A lot of people moan about how no one spends in free agents anymore. But it's like the fact that they gave that contract out is the reason that they've now ended up trading Mookie Betts basically,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
like they could have given that extra money to Mookie Betts instead and extended him. You know, like there is spending more money. Like maybe some teams, yeah, probably can spend more money, and maybe they should. But there's always that just spending money badly just isn't good for the sport in any way because they don't exactly have infinite money. I mean, well, even if they do, they're not going to spend infinite money. So if they
No,
spend money
that's the key.
badly, that means that then another player that deserves it more and even the fans would rather have on their team ends up not being on their team anymore because of that bad deal.
And that's the important point. That's the point that is not mentioned enough. I mean, I'm looking at I've got their payroll up right now. Jake Martinez just shy of 24 million. Chris Sale, um, 30 or something, isn't it? Bogart's 20. They're paying Pedroia, but that's not really a thing, is it? That's
No,
you
yeah.
can't blame them for that. It's the Eovaldi. What are they doing? Like
It's the
those
Valdi one
contracts.
that's out of place, isn't it?
That's how you back yourself into a corner. That is how you
Yeah.
get yourself in real trouble.